Hello everybody that lays in my computer when I'm not in it for some reason. Welcome to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video. Ignore my disheveled hair, and if my voice is a little cracky or anything, I apologize for that, as I'm feeling a little sick again. Hopefully everything's alright and I'm not actually sick. Love you guys. Anyways, let's get into this. Let's get in. Let's just dive on in. Let's jump into it. To begin, I want to talk about the main four characters, and I want to talk about everything about them that I have labeled and a couple improv things, and then we'll get into more stuff afterwards. So to start, Leonardo, baby. So, Leo is the second strongest, he's the second smartest, he's the second fastest, he's the second most skilled in combat. He is like second place at everything. In like any measurable way, he's second place. And due to this, he has these developing insecurities. He has a need and a feeling that he has to prove himself. And that's going to be like his big arc for this show. I think him being the leader is very much something that I like. I liked what Rise did, trying to have Raph be the leader. I thought that was neat. I do not want to just take that, though, as that is definitely a Rise thing, and I don't want to steal that. But having Leo still be the leader whilst having insecurities and issues with himself that he needs to work on, I think it adds another layer, A, to him being a leader. It adds another layer to him as a character, and it also adds a layer to his relationship with his brothers, who in some ways are better at him than at things, and as he will learn that there are things that he is good at too, and that he is their equal, that they are his equal, that they all need to work together. Quick little thing about the designs. I like all the turtles looking different. They don't need to look like they're different species or anything if you don't want that, but I have a couple ideas. I think Leo should have like a swimmer's body, where he is muscular but not meaty, if you understand what I mean. Like Michael Phelps in his prime wasn't The Rock, you know what I mean? Also, light blue is better than dark blue for his colors, so give him light blue. Also, bring back the colored knee and elbow pads, please. Leo is a leader, but early on he's not a good leader early because of a mix of his inexperiences, his insecurities, his feeling to do things himself, and he has to learn to be a good leader, which is something that the 2012 show touched on a little, but other than that, a lot of Turtles media, not including comics, have a thing where they kind of just push Leo as a good leader immediately. And that can work if you're doing a series where they've been doing this, but in this series, this is where they're beginning, so Leo is the second oldest turtle, and will grow up to be the most responsible. Early on, he compares himself to his brothers and to his opponents, but as the story continues, he learns to push them to be better. He views everyone as his equals, and he loves them with all he has. Love and respect are going to be very big themes of this show. I feel like the Brotherhood of the Turtles is one that is faulty in a human way. And I think the humanity of the Turtles, character-wise, is the most important thing about them. So, keeping that entail that's a big thing. In the first season, I don't want to see any of the Turtles in romances. Yeah, none of that. I'm putting that here. The Turtles don't need to immediately be in romances and stuff. You don't have to make that a big deal. I'm gonna sneeze. And later on, you can do stuff such as having Mona Lisa for Raph, or making new characters, using old ones, whatever. But we're not doing the weird human turtle romance thing, 2012. We're not doing that. God, between the Bay movies and the 2012 thing, I was so uncomfortable with that. No, we're not doing that. Jesus. A second arc that is only gonna be in season 1 is Leo having to earn his katanas. Now, Splinter is trying to make him super responsible before he has the katanas, considering, they can chop a fucking head off or whatever. So he's gonna be pushed in ways by Splinter to earn that weapon, which is a thing that other characters are gonna have to do, but they're gonna get theirs in like episode 2 or something, whereas Leo won't get his until like episode 4. And he will get upset about that, and it'll add to the insecurity thing. But I think him having to earn respect from Splinter to be allowed to have the katanas is a pretty big thing. So that's what I have written for Leo currently. Remember, I'm not a story artist. I'm not some genuinely amazing writer. I'm just a weirdo who likes Ninja Turtles. Next up, Raphael, baby. Now, Raphael is the strongest turtle. He is the least intelligent. He's not dumb. He's just not as measurably intelligent as the others. And yes, that means Mikey is smarter than Raph. I'll get there later. And Raph is the oldest. He early on looks at himself like he's better than the brothers, but not in a way where damn it, I love advertising on my royalty-free music. He doesn't view them as lesser. He just believes that he doesn't need them for protecting the city and stuff, which he will learn is not correct and that he does need them. He loves them with all of his heart, but he thinks that he doesn't need them or that he should be the leader. I think having him be the flip of Leo is a big thing. Still have them have a relationship, still have him love them, but have him look at himself as, I can do all of this. Why do I need to bring you with me? And he's gonna A, have to learn to deal with the fact that he needs them. B, he's gonna have to learn to deal with the fact that Leo's the leader, not him. And C, he's gonna have to learn that he not only needs them for that, but that he needs them, period. He's their brother and he loves them. One of his big arcs is that he's going to have to learn, much like Leo, to view his team, his brothers, as his equals. However, from the moment we meet the Turtles, all of them love each other. All of them would protect each other, and Raph is no exception. He loves his brothers. Yeah, I don't want the Turtles to have to learn to care about one another. I want them to have to learn to love one another like they always have, in a way that is helpful towards their team. Because I feel like that's a lot of the issue, is especially whenever it's Turtles that are early on in their careers, there's this issue where, hi kitties, there's this issue where they love each other and they're individually great at whatever they're doing, but when they merge, they make mistakes. And I think that should be a big part of, especially Raph and Leo, learning to work as a team. Design-wise, I like Raph being the shortest and just a fucking brick shithouse. Where Leo's built like a swimmer, Raph is built kind of like a 70s wrestler. He's not like fucking Mr. Olympia huge, but he's big. Also, he should have darker green skin and dark red for his color scheme, and also bring back the elbow pads and knee pads that are colored instead of brown. I like those. Though Raph knows how to fight and he is incredibly strong, in a tactical situation, Raphael is a bit dull. He knows how to fight with most weapons, but he's really bad at planning, which will lead him to learn to respect Leo for that. This will also lead to Raph learning to use his size defensively, and he is taught this by Mikey. I'll get to that later. But yeah, Raph in the 20... I think it was 20... In the 2003 show, Raph rarely uses the size defensively. In the 2012 show, they touch on it for like a season, and then they don't. And then in Rise, he's kind of always on the offense. And in the 80s show, the fight choreography was mostly goofy. So there's not a lot of good pop culture stuff of the Turtles where Raph is defensively fighting, which is better for him because that's what size are for. Another arc for Raph is having to open up, having to show emotions instead of just being an ass. He will first open up to Mikey, as those two will be extremely close. They're all close, but there is going to be a thing where Leo and Donnie are extremely close, Mikey and Raph are extremely close, but they still all care about one another. But it's like, this is my best friend style thing. And Raph loving them, wanting to do what's right for them, but not knowing how to show emotion is A, really human, B, really realistic, and C, extremely not feasible. Like, it's a thing that you can feel, and I think that's a big deal. Next up, babies, it's Donatello time. So, Donatello's a genius. That's just that. Hi, kitty. He's the smartest turtle, but he's also, like, second or third smartest person in the universe for this specific, like, brand of turtles. He's nerdy, but mostly about technology and things that he's so smart about. He's not just... A lot of things mischaracterize Donnie as a super nerd, when in reality he's just really fucking smart, and then there's a couple things he's nerdy about. So instead of being like, oh, every single nerdy thing has to fit him, which I think oversaturates the nerdy part of his character, have him be a nerd about the stuff that he already knows all this information about. This version of Donnie isn't as weirdly antisocial as some other variants. He's smart and he's nerdy, but he has a certain charisma to him. Think like Markiplier, for example, is a fucking nerd, but he has charisma. He has the ability to push and show those nerdy things in a way that are confident in a way. And I think he should have something like that. His brothers will find this extremely... I don't know the right term. I have it written as cool, but that's not what I wanted to say. Mikey, Leo, and Raph will look to Donnie for his confidence. And anytime that confidence falters, they, A, are going to go to his aid and help him figure out what's up. And B, they are going to be, for the most part, a little lesser in their confidence. Hi, Pumby. I have a baby on me now. You want to stay? You want to stick around? Hi, baby. His main arc is realizing that even with all of his intellect, with all of his confidence, he still needs his brothers. He can't do this without them. Donnie doesn't think he's superior or anything, but he does think his brains is all that he needs, and he must learn to use his heart. And lots of teamwork. Lots of teamwork. So for the first 4 or so episodes, have Donnie never use anything but his big-ass brain. Like, we don't, in the first, like, half of the season or whatever, Donnie isn't doing anything based on emotion. He's not doing anything based on tactical stuff. He's not doing anything based on what is right. He is simply going based on his brain. And that's great for him, but in a way that could lead to some negativity. Design-wise, I think Donnie should be the tallest and also the lankiest. I like the idea of him just being up high as shit and then being, like, the skinniest turtle. He isn't weak-looking or anything. A lot of things, whenever it's like, oh, I want a version of the character that's lanky, they immediately go to, like, malnourished. Donnie's still... All of the turtles are strong as shit. He's the least meaty of the turtles. Also, dark purple is better than light purple, so we get the dark purple. elbows and knees. Um, and yes, he should have tech with him all the fucking time. I don't think all of the turtles should. Like, in 2012, there's like a full season where they're all wearing like mech suits and shit all the time, and like utility belts and grappling hook. I think that should be Donnie's thing. Donnie should have the utility belt. Donnie should have a grappling hook. Maybe he has like a headset or something. Use his big fucking brain. Maybe have him overcompensate and have a shitload of tech, and then after he realizes he needs to use other things than his brain, he will come down to a normal amount of technology. But use his brain. Donnie has another big arc. In episode 2, Raph and Mikey are going to bring home a turtle as a pet. Donnie doesn't view it as a member of their family because it isn't intelligent. Raph will jokingly say something like, "Neither is Mikey. Haha." And slowly over the first season, Donnie will have to learn to realize that all life matters. And maybe he gets a scene where he has to save the turtle or something. But having Donnie look... I want one of the turtles, and I decided on Donnie for a couple of reasons. I want one of the turtles to do things in an almost selfish way, where it's like, oh, I'm saving my family. Everybody else can fuck off. But he's going to have to learn about, like, hey, this Spike, this pet turtle, he matters. I have to take care of him. The people of New York, I have to take care of them. April O'Neil, I have to take care of her. He has to learn that his family aren't his only family, in a way. And I think that could be really nice. Donnie and Leo are extra close because Data Cold Brothers, cool colors. And they have very friendly relationship. Leo and Donnie kind of make each other feel confident in a way that nobody else does. When Leo is at his worst confidence-wise, Donnie's the one who pushes him to do better. When Donnie is faltering in confidence or with what he believes his brain can do or where he's stuck at something, Leo's the one who pushes him to get out of that. Donnie doesn't have an amazing relationship with Mikey yet, mostly because they don't share many things in common. They don't have many of the same interests. However, he does love Mikey, and that's going to be a big plot point that I'll talk about a little more in Mikey's section. But having Donnie and Mikey start out not communicating very well while still loving one another, I think could be very nice. And then you move it ahead and you grow their relationship over time. And I think that's really nice. Anyways, promise? Promise? Oh, baby, I'm sorry. Wait. I think I got that. Anyways, Michelangelo moment, baby. Mikey is the youngest turtle, and he's the least interested in battle. He's not as dumb as people think, as he's a tactical genius. Due to how easily fighting comes to him, he finds it super boring and monotonous. One of Mikey's big stories is going to be learning to love being a ninja. Instead of finding it cool, he's somewhat off-put by it, because it's so easy to him. So he prefers games, comics, movies, and slowly he will learn to treat fighting like a game. He will treat fighting like it's Street Fighter. He will treat fighting like it's God of War. He's going to have to make it fun for himself. Design-wise, I think Mikey should be built somewhat similar to the Mirage or the 80s Turtles, in a way where he kind of just looks like a big turtle, rather than being super meaty or super lanky. He just kind of looks like a turtle. Also, his skin should be the lightest of the turtles, and he should have really light orange. Also have like a chipped tooth, because I think it'd be a nice little thing. Mikey and Raph are best fucking friends. Mikey treats Leo like a stereotypical big brother, sort of like he's invincible. And he tries to be friends with Donnie, but it's hard as they don't share many interests. He loves him deeply, but has issues communicating with him due to the difference in vocabulary. Another big story for Mikey, one that will be built up throughout the whole show, is Mikey having to grow up. In the beginning, it's early missions and easy missions like fight ninjas, hang out with the boys, eat pizza, simple things. But at a certain point, things will get serious. They will get gritty, and he will have to be responsible. Mikey growing up is going to be a full show thing, not just 1 or 2 seasons. I think Michelangelo growing up is one of the most interesting storylines in any Turtles thing ever. Look at how big Last Ronin is, because it's literally the Michelangelo show. But yeah, stuff like that. His tertiary story is his relationship with Donnie growing. Them truly being brothers and learning how important the other is to everything from the team to their relationship at home. I think Mikey learning that Donnie's important with all of his technology and with all of his knowledge, and a big plot point being that, you know, you're my brother, I love you, even if we have, like, things that make us different, I still love you. So there's that. Next up, baby, it's April O'Neil time. Woo! It's April time, it's April time, it's April time, it's April time. It's April time, baby. April is extremely smart. She's strong. She has taken a self-defense class before, so she kind of knows what she's doing. And she's able to hang out and relax. She's got some trauma that causes a couple anger issues and a couple insecurities. And she has things about herself that make her perfectly identify with each of the individual turtles, as well as the group. She's able to hang out with any of them, and she's treated like an older sister. She brings them things from the surface, like food, magazines, comics, VHS tapes, a computer, whatever she can find to help them out. None of that weird Turtle X April shit. It never worked. It's always weird. Stop. I don't care if it's Mikey, Donnie, Raph, Lee. No. Turtle X April shouldn't happen. Stop. She will slowly learn that her father went missing due to the foot. It's brought up that she has some underlying issues with the fact that her father has been gone for almost her whole life, and she doesn't know why. We, as well as her, will learn that it was dealings with the foot, and that will be important for future seasons, but not season 1, as it's kind of setting things up. Her main arc is going to be learning to balance her life in school, her personal life on the surface, her life at work, and her life with the turtles. Also, she works for a big news company as an intern, because old April being that was actually really, really cool. And don't treat her like Lois Lane, and don't make her like a maiden in distress or whatever. Don't do that. But, like, let her do shit. That's the little quick notes for April. It's Master Splinter time, baby. Splinter is wise. He knows all of battle. He knows all of companionship, all of love, all of betrayal. But he has one major issue. One that we're going to touch on and we're going to learn about and learn to work with. Splinter doesn't know how to forgive. This will be a big part of his journey, is learning to forgive. Forgive his enemies, forgive his sons, forgive himself. His secondary arc, and the main arc of the first season, is going to be learning to trust his sons on the surface. Trusting them to take care of one another, truly believing in them and believing that they can handle things without him. He's going to make us cry about it. He's going to be really... It's going to be the first time we see him get emotional, is him telling them that he trusts them and stuff. And he's going to make us cry like babies. Design-wise, Splinter is a light gray with hints of brown throughout. He wears a big red robe and his hands are covered in white wrapping. His torso is a bit tubby and his arms are a bit lanky, as well as his legs being lanky. He's usually hunched over and walking with his staff, but rarely we will see him stand up, making himself larger than any of the turtles. He's typically deadpan, but will smile at his sons when they make him laugh, when they make him proud, or simply whenever they do something good for one another. He's going to be deadpan a lot as like his resting face, but whenever there's something positive, he's not going to pretend like he's not there for his kids. Splinter has a deep history with two of our villains. First of all, a villain who's introduced halfway through Season 1, Baxter Stockman. I thought I turned the oven on. Who originally learned martial art. Baxter Stockman is the one who turned Splinter into a rat. Because I'm going with Splinter used to be a guy, because I think that's usually more interesting. And then he originally learned martial arts alongside Shredder, but not as his equal, as sort of his protege, where instead of them being equals, Splinter was kind of a little beneath Shredder. Shredder's story will be important for later, not season 1. Time to talk about his relationship with all of his children. With Leo, Splinter is always putting his son up. He treats them all with love, and he tries to put them all up and respect them and teach them their strengths. But with Leo, that's most of what he does. Leo doesn't believe in himself, and Splinter kind of talks to Leo like an adult. Splinter talks to Leo in a way that's showing respect to him, to show that Splinter wants him to be what he is becoming. Splinter talks to Leo like an adult, and he knows when to loosen up. But for the most part, he's very helpful regarding responsibility with Leo, as responsibility is Leo's biggest, learning thing. With Raph, Splinter is slightly rougher. Not in a mean way, but to teach him to be humble, to make him understand that the turtles are equals. Splinter will often talk to Raphael like a therapist, teaching him to control himself, to use his feelings in a good way. And a little cute thing that we learn is that whenever they're doing these little therapy sessions, Raphael and Splinter are painting together. Just as a way of spending time together, and also a way of using their emotion. With Donnie, Splinter talks to him with big words, as if the two are in a lab. He's always into everything his sons are into. He wants to make them feel all welcome, and he wants to make them feel like he cares. And he does this with Donnie by being super intelligent, and we, the viewer, get to see little things of Splinter doing things such as reading a book or looking something up online before talking to Donnie, because Splinter doesn't actually know what he's talking about, and he's having to go learn things to be able to talk to Donnie as equals, because of how fucking smart his son is. He has to do his research to keep up with Donatello. With Mikey, Splinter treats him a little bit softer than the others, not in a neglectful way. He often plays games with Mikey on their a big arcade machine that they have. He talks to Mikey like they are frat bros, often gets onto him for slacking or anything like that, but for the most part treats him in a friendly way. He gets onto him for slacking off training, especially because he says that Mikey could be the best fighter in the world if he applied himself. He loves his sons equally, and there isn't even a question of him loving any of them more than the others. Even the brothers know this. Yeah, I want them to understand that he doesn't view them as soldiers or any of them above one another. They're just his sons, and he loves them. April, baby. Splinter treats April as a surrogate daughter. Splinter never met his child in the real world. April never met her dad. And he is understanding and helpful while being able to tell her off for mistakes in a helping way. We're not doing the thing where Splinter has a child that's in the show. So April's not his kid. Karai's not going to be his kid. He had a child died, is lore. He never really got to see anything about her because he was off doing ninja shit. But him and April having, surrogate, relationship, I find to be extremely nice. It's a found family thing. Shredder, in Season 1, it's not really revealed much about Shredder. He basically doesn't show up, but him and Splinter will have a fuckload of history. Villainy! Oh no, it's villainy time. It's time for villainy, babes. For the most part, I don't want Season 1 to have, a big main villain. I think in Season 1 there should be more of the things where it's the turtle versus the foot, turtle versus a bunch of random street thugs. Not a whole lot of big supervillain stuff. I want Baxter Stockman to be introduced. I would like him to have some history with TCRI, history with Splinter that we end up learning about, and I would like him to have but a relationship with Shredder later. Not yet. But for the most part, there's not really a main bad guy in Season 1. However, there will be a lot of hints towards bad guys. Little bits and pieces towards certain character bits, stuff about storylines that can occur later. Sorry, my phone keeps falling, and I have a bunch of bullet pointed information. I'm not reading exactly what it says, but I am going over it. When we get to Shredder, he owns the Foot Clan, and he's in charge of the fucking hundreds of thousands of those. But I want him to have sort of like a special forces sort of thing, where he has guys that he trusts to get shit done. And we won't get to see them until later, but they exist. Yeah, I think it's always really cool when somebody owns an army, and then even with those thousands of people, they're like, oh, well, I mean, these guys will fuck you up. Thank you, Taco Bell advertising. But yeah, there's that. Also, I want the Turtles to be responsible for creating Bebop and Rocksteady. Not on purpose or anything. I feel like in most Turtle media, Shredder has a lot of responsibility with making villains. Splinter has a lot of responsibility for making villains, and the Turtles usually don't. There are people tied to Splinter, Shredder has people tied to him, fucking 2012 there's people tied to April, but there's very rarely villains that are tied to the Turtles, other than like Spike sometimes, Metalhead maybe, but that's like it. So they unintentionally are going to cause Bebop and Rocksteady to happen. Anything else in that? No. Okay. I'm done with villainy, baby. Talk about style, baby. Stylistically, I have a couple notes, and I'll get to them individually. So to begin, I definitely want it to be a cartoon. It shouldn't be live action. I would like it to look hand-drawn. I understand they're not going to make it fully hand-drawn. They're going to do the thing where it's hand-drawn mixed with a bunch of computer stuff. Not like computer animation, but like 2D, like using the computers to make the art process easier. For a big project like this, it's not really going to have the perfect, only hand-done art, which is fine. Yeah, computer art that looks like a cartoon. Good examples are Invincible, Rise of the TMNT, and there's infinite other good cartoons like that. Those are just the two that I have written right there. I would want a lot of stuff from Turtle history to be referenced. I would like there to be some stuff where it's dark and gritty, like the Mirage comics. Stuff that's light and cartoony, like the 80s show. Like there to be monochromatic tones and huge skyscrapers like 2013, the 2012 show and the 2003 show. I would really like some anime-inspired stuff like Rise. However, I don't want any of those shows' styles or world-building situations to be the only style of this show. I would want it to have its own touches that make it special while showing love for all the things that came before it. I think I would want it to have animation that's got the fluidity of Rise with the, like, world building of the 2003's animation. But don't steal anything, don't redo things, and don't, like, just remake the same show over and over again, as that would be very uncool. I would like a few nods to Shredder stylistically to be treated like super big villain moments. For example, have him have a fucking crazy theme. Make it new. He has multiple themes that are good. Give him a Prowler-ass theme. Just a banger that's scary to listen to. Where the few times we see anything of him or somebody talk to him, it's like his eye or a knife that he has or something. Like, never show him. Always have a banger theme song, and always have people in the scene looking fucking terrified. Another stylistic thing that I want is the sewers are their home. And some versions of Turtle Media treat it like it doesn't matter. It's kind of just, oh, we're in the subway, or, oh, there's water over there, and it's kind of gross. But I want there to be a thing where Splinter A gives a fuck about his kids, B doesn't want to live in filth, so him and the Turtles kind of soup the area up. Show that the Turtles can be responsible for their living spaces, and I would like individual quarters where they sleep and stuff to be stylized. For example, Donnie having tech all over the place. Leo having a really well put together, organized space to show how much he's trying to be perfect. Yeah, he's trying to be the perfect child, even though none of them are perfect. Raph having a little bit more of a dirty space because he kind of just goes in and tosses his shit around. Have him have a spot for the pet turtle that him and Mikey have, and then Mikey's room being sort of a frat pad. It's not going to be dirty entirely, but it's in a way where it's like, yeah, somebody lives here. There's pizza boxes stacked up. There's a trash can, but it's overflowing. Also having their training quarters be not beside their sleeping area. Having your workspace and your comfort space together is very bad for your mental, and I feel like Splinter would know that. So maybe their training quarters is like a couple 100 feet over or something away from where they stay. I don't know, something to just differentiate the space, and also maybe not have it be the same like walls and shit, because in 2012, a lot of the areas that they are inside get randomly added to to their base without any like thing about it, and B, they all look the same for the most part, and that's boring. Another stylistic thing, important for any media, but especially something that's animated, especially something involving characters that have been around forever. Music. Music is extremely important. It's so fucking important. It's important to pretty much any media. And I think bringing in themes from the past shows and past movies is cool. And you can have certain leitmotifs that are used throughout the show, not just through the first season, but like stuff that starts maybe in their home as like a comfort thing, and later it happens during a big fight or whatever. Stuff like that. But also, I think that the show itself should have its own themes and... Mister, what are you doing? I gotta go deal with a cat. The 2012 show has probably the best music for a Turtles project. Well, actually, no, the 90s movie. The 89 movie, specifically. But yeah, music is important to anything, and I feel like in these characters that have been around forever, and have had so many themes and so many things added to the characters, I think having music very big matters. The last stylistic point I want to make is that I want it to be different stylistically to other hero media currently. The Boys is happening, Invincible's happening, the DCU's happening, MCU's happening, we just had Neighborhood Spider-Man, Mutant Mayhem came out like 2 years ago, we just got X-Men 76 over again. 76? That's not correct. That's Soldier. You get what I'm saying. And there's so many things going on, and I think stylistically it should be different. This isn't part of the DCU. This isn't part of the MCU. And Bubba, immediately right back into the bag? I think that the ability to differentiate yourself to other hero media is fairly important. Because if it just looks like all of those, then it's going to be grouped in with those by people. And now we're done with the stylistic thing and down to me being emotional. Woo, it's emotional time, baby. You guys ready for the emotional stuff? I've been watching these characters and their stories since whenever the hell my brain turned on. My childhood was in no way perfect, but there. When I was little, my mother had a DVD of the second and the fourth season of the 80s show. Alongside VHS tapes of the first two live-action movies, and I watched the fuck out of those. I've been fairly vocal about how much Spider-Man means to me, especially how much the 90s animated show, Spectacular, and the Raimi trilogy mean to me. Growing up with those kind of did a lot as like an escape. But before I really had Spider-Man to dig my teeth into, I had the Turtles. Because my mother, her brothers, her sisters, and other people in that age group got to grow up along those characters. So, when I came around, it only made sense to show that to me. I've been watching these characters for as long as I can remember. I have distinct memories of watching an episode of the 80s show where they went to France and were dealing with the fucking Eiffel Tower. And at the beginning of the episode, they had like weird outfits on to like not show that they're fucking turtles. So there was that. And the first memory I can think of like any media at all, the earliest media thing I can think of is the first live action movie when Raphael is yelling about Leonardo being taken away by the foot. The one that's been looked at as like one of the greatest like screams in history. Love it so much. And that has infinitely affected me on a creative level. That scene specifically emotionally affected it, like emotionally messed with me. And it's like my first real memory of any media. And it's part of why the Turtles are so big to me. It's part of why Raph is my favorite of the Turtles. And even these animatronics, even these cartoons could love one another, could care, and could show emotion. And that's part of why I'm like so big on creativity. On Saturdays, for a short period, I could watch the 2003 show. I believe it was reruns because I'm pretty sure the show was over. I also had a DVD of the 2007 CGI film, which I broke. Didn't work anymore. I fucked that thing up. And then we had a second DVD for that because I liked it so much. There was a Wii game for that movie that I played the fuck out of. Raphael and Leo fighting on the rooftop in the 2007 movie meant a shitload to me. I don't know why, but I still remember it a lot. Like, I don't know. I've gotten to the point with, I guess, the tism, where, like, if I'm thinking about wrestling, I can put together the choreography in my head, and I don't have to move, I don't have to write anything, it just goes. And that's how I am about this specific fight. The first, like, third of it, starting with them staring at one another, while Raph still has the helmet on, all the way until Raph gets the helmet knocked off, is, like, up there. Like, I miss a step or two, but, like, I have that shit. I don't want to talk about the Bay movies. They're not good. The 2012 show is a mixed bag for me. There's acting that's really fucking good. There's fight scenes that are really good. The music, the team of music on whoever composed that shit, tremendous. But it also mischaracterized a lot of characters. And I don't hate the show or whatever. I still, if it came on while I was watching Nickelodeon, I was watching it. I gave a fuck, and I liked those characters. And I liked looking back, a lot of them are reinventing characters, which is cool. But at the time, I was very unhappy with it. And I wouldn't complain if I had to watch it or anything. But it's my least favorite of the shows. Like, I like the 80s more. I like the 03 more. I like Rise more. But it's definitely not a bad show. And also, the Bay movies were coming out alongside that show, and I fucking hate the Bay movies. Anyways, then Rise happened. I didn't watch Rise when it first came out, as I didn't have a way to. But pretty much as it was getting canceled, I finally got to watch it, and I loved it so very much. It might be my favorite TMNT show, maybe. I need to watch all of them again and give my thought on that. At one point, my mother was dating a man who I don't remember the name of, and he had this VHS of a Ninja Turtles musical. And that musical is the reason I became a theater kid for the time that I was. Part of what got me into acting, part of what got me into music. And I think that's super fucking cool. So shout out to the Ninja Turtles making me a theater kid, and shout out to all the people who worked on the really shit Ninja Turtles musical. These characters have been put in front of me for my whole life. And they've been put in front of other children, other teenagers, other adults for so long. The Mirage comics were around for 20 years before I was born. And now I'm turning 20. And that's fucking insane. The outpour for these characters is still there. It's insane that people still give a fuck about these characters all this time later and still want more reinventions of them and still want more things about them. Even in me doing this pitch, I really would like to enthrall a Turtles fan who hasn't seen anything they've liked in a while, or show one new person that these characters are important and that they matter and that they're not just random fucking amphibians or reptiles or whatever the shit. Like, yeah, reptile. But, like, that the characters and their stories impact people and that it could impact you. These characters mean a lot to me and to millions of other people. And other than Mutant Mayhem, which could or could not get a sequel, they kind of haven't had anything in this decade, really. I mean, we're going halfway into it, and all we have is a remake of a video game, Mutant Mayhem, and a short show after that is connected to Mutant Mayhem. And I'm not reading through all that. I know what I want to talk about. In the 80s, there's the Mirage comics. There is the show. There's the first movie. In the 90s, there's more of the show. There's a shitload of comics. There's multiple movies. In the 2000s, there was a show. There was movies. There was fucking comics. There was games. In 2010, we had the 2012 show. We had a bit of Rise. We had multiple movies. We had a shitload of video games. Loads of comics. Last Ronin happened. In the 2020s, we've had a remake of some games. We've had like 7 episodes of a show that's just part of a movie. And we've had one really good movie. The 2020s don't have a Turtles thing yet. And I think these characters should. I think the next generation deserve to have a turtle to watch that was made for them. I think people like me who are going into adulthood should have the ability to see another version of these characters they love. I think people that have been watching since the 80s show should have a way to go, hey, look, that's continued. My fucking grandkids can watch that or whatever, you know. Not that if you grew up with the 80s show, you should just have grandkids. That's not what I'm not trying to make fun of you or say you're old. You know what I mean. These characters mean a fuckload to me. These characters have meant a lot to me since I was little. And I think they deserve another way of being viewed forever. So yeah. I could rant more about this, and maybe in the future I'll make a bigger video about Turtles history or something. I don't know. But that was my pitch for a Ninja Turtles show. If you're more interested, I could make a follow-up, because that kind of just talked about the structural stuff. In the future, I will actually have the ideas for like individual episodes written out, and then after that, season 2 maybe. But we'll see how that goes. I deeply appreciate all of you guys who watched. I appreciate all of your support. In the description, there will be a link to the Patreon. If this is on YouTube, if you're watching on Patreon, hi. Bye-bye.